So we've been introduced to this idea of factoring and solving. Sometimes factoring doesn't work. And so we also have what's called the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula actually comes from completing the square. And we end up with this formula. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remembering that a quadratic comes already in this format. We have our a in front of our x squared, our b in front of our x, and our c by itself. So for example, if I'm given something like this as an equation, then I know that my a is 1, my b is negative 5, and my c is 6. I then just go about plugging them in. So, plugging into this formula, we would say x equals negative b. Well, b's already negative 5, so we switch the sign. So it becomes positive 5 plus or minus the square root negative 5 squared, because b squared, minus 4, a is 1, c is 6, all over 2 times our a of 1. So we put a in these two spots, 1. We put c in this spot, and we put b, which happens to be negative 5, here and here. So then we just simplify this. This will tell us the solutions to where it crosses the x-axis. So we get x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 6 is 24 all over 2. X equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2. Well, that's 5 plus or minus 1 all over 2. So in other words, 5 plus 1 makes 6, and 6 divided by 2 makes 3. 5 minus 1 makes 4, and 4 divided by 2 makes 2. So these two solutions are what we would get if we were to factor and solve. It's just another way of doing it. And quadratic formula is really cool in that it also works on quadratics that aren't factorable, they're prime. So say I was given something in this format. Well, remember, to get a, b, and c, they have to be on the same side equal to 0. So the first thing we need to do is get this over to the same side by minusing 5. So x squared minus x minus 5 equals 0. Now I can put it into the quadratic formula. So first off, x equals negative b, or positive 1, plus or minus negative 1 squared, minus 4, a of 1, c of negative 5, all over 2 times 1. So x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 1. Negative 4 times 5 is 20, all over 2. X equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 21 all over 2. Square root of 21 doesn't break down, it's a radical, it doesn't. So this would be our final answer, which would produce a decimal. Let's go through one more. So let's say, for example, we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. So a equals 2, b equals 7, c equals 3. Putting into the formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x equals negative b plus or minus 7 squared is 49. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So we have minus 24 all over 4. X equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 25 all over 4. X equals negative 7 plus or minus 5 all over 4, because square root of 25 is 5. So we say negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 4 is the first option. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12 divided by 4. These two can be simplified. This one simplifies to negative 1/2, and this one simplifies to negative 3, and these would be our two solutions where it crosses the x-axis.